Today we're going to learn how to create an animated graphic transition in Adobe Premiere Pro 2020. And we're going to build together exactly this one here. Let's go. Hi guys, welcome to a new video. Actually today it's a new tutorial of Adobe Premiere Pro 2020. If it's the first time for you to check my channel, my name is Mamuer, I'm based in London, I'm a content creator, I do photography, videography, and on this channel I usually share tutorials about the Adobe package, so Premiere Pro, Photoshop, After Effects, everything related to Adobe and the media field. So whatever I learned through my experience, I'm gonna share it with you on this channel, so consider to subscribe right now. In many videos and vlogs nowadays, we see a lot of seamless transitions like these ones. But in my opinion, they're now getting overused, very common, and also very annoying because some people use these transitions a lot in their videos. So what I wanted to cover today is actually an old school, evergreen, animated graphic transition, and we can build this in Adobe Premiere Pro. We're also gonna learn how to save this animation as a preset, so you can use it whenever you want in Premiere Pro with a simple click of the mouse. So it's now time to jump into Premiere Pro. Here we are inside the software. I also want to mention that for this tutorial, you probably need some basic notions of the software. But if you follow me step by step, you'll be able to achieve the same results anyway. If you want to dig deeper into the software, you want to learn more, you want to learn the video editing process and all the software basically, I've created an Adobe Premiere Pro 2020 video editing course, which you can find on Udemy. My course has actually been marked as bestseller on Udemy, and you can find a link in the description tab. I created a promotional code just for my viewers here on YouTube, so I definitely recommend to go check it out and get the course at this special price. Now let's start with a tutorial, and first of all I have a few panels open here. You can customize your workspace as you like, but if you want to literally follow me step by step, I recommend you to copy my workspace as I have it right here. I've got the project panel right here on the left hand side, and I recommend to import a couple of clips so we can actually create a transition between two real clips. I double click in the project panel and my Finder window will open up. I'm just gonna browse a couple of clips to import, which I've already created. So you make sure you go and pick a couple of clips. It doesn't matter what it is for the tutorial. So here they are. If you know my workflow, I try to be very tidy. So I'm gonna create some bins and I drop my footage in there. Now I'm gonna create a new sequence, and I'm going to create a new bin with Command B. You're going to create a new bin and I'm going to call it edits. So in here I will put my sequences. I'm going to expand the project panel for a second. I'm going down here in new item and I'm going to create a new sequence. I'm going very fast, guys. Again, if you want to learn all the workflow and the video editing process and the software, go and check the course. There's a lot of information there. It's a 14 hours course and we will cover everything of Premiere Pro, at least the basics. So here I'm going to create a new sequence, which is an HD sequence. I'm going to call it transition for now down here, and also I'm going to choose a frame rate at 29.97. So it doesn't really matter, you can match your frame rate that you used for your filming. I'm just going to drop the two clips in my sequence. I'm going to keep my existing settings, so I just click here as recommended. And here we are. I've got these two shots basically. A couple of drone shots, which I'm going to quickly edit. So I've got this shot in Sardinia. That's it. And from here, let's say we want to go to this shot. This is a nuraghe, again in Sardinia. It's a very ancient structure. And I'm going to chop it there. As you can see here, the two clips are very different in terms of location, color grading, and so on. So I want to create an animated transition to separate the two. With our clips on our timeline, we're actually going to create the animated graphic finally. So let's do that. We need to open the Essential Graphic panel. So we want to go to Window at the top menu and scroll down to Essential Graphics panel. So let's click on that, and you will have this panel popping up somewhere in your workspace. Also make sure you have the Effect Controls panel open. If you don't, Let's go back to Window and scroll down to Effect Controls. When we have created the sequence went down here in the main folder, in the main project panel. So we want to drag it into the edits folder. This is of course if you're following my workflow, but if you have your own workflow, just keep doing whatever you're doing. Let's go on the timeline down here more or less, where we have the cut between the two clips. And I'm going to the Essential Graphics panel, to the Edit option, and I'm going to the icon here, New Layer. If we click on it, we have the option to choose different items, but we want to create a rectangular shape. So we go and pick rectangle. Something happened there on my program panel, but also on the timeline. If you see there, we now have a graphic clip. This is now our new transition, or what's going to be our transition. If you go to the Essential Graphics panel, also you will notice a new shape 01, and this is the rectangular shape we have just created. We can rename it by right-clicking on it, rename it. I call it with the color and the rectangular shapes, so I call it Aqua Rectangle. You can call it whatever you want. Of course, we press OK, and here we go. Also in the timeline, I'm gonna move my graphic in the middle more or less of the cut, and we will adjust this as we go with the tutorial. The first thing I realize in the program panel is that the rectangular shape is very tiny compared to our frame. So we want to increase the size of that. And to do so, we want to have the graphic selected in the timeline. We go to the Effect Controls panel. We go to Shape number 1, Aqua Rectangle, and we click on this tiny arrow on the left hand side. When you open the first shape in the Effect Controls panel, a lot of settings and different options will pop up, but we will cover just the one needed for the purpose of the tutorial. And first of all, you can change the color of your shape as well. You just need to go to the Appearance option, click on Fill over the color, and you have the color palette now from which you can choose whatever color you like. So you just need to go here, select the color you want, and then click OK. I just keep the aqua color because I named it that way. So I just click OK, but you can choose the color you like. Before now, let's go to the Transform option and let's change the vertical size of the rectangle. We want to go to Scale, open up the options, and we want to untick the Uniform Scale option here because we just want to scale the vertical size of it. So let's untick it, and now we go to Vertical Scale and increase that number until we cover basically the frame. It doesn't matter how big you go, but more or less I want to cover the whole frame. As you can see, I'm in the middle of my graphic right now, and I want to go at the very beginning, so the first frame of the graphic. So you just want to scroll down at the beginning of this timeline in the Effects Control panel. And if you remember the animation, the transition comes in from the center of the frame, and then it covers basically the whole image, and then it narrows down again to disappear. So what we want to do is to start from 0 in terms of horizontal size. And again, we can do that right here in the Effect Controls panel. And to do so, we're going to create some keyframes. So go down to the horizontal scale. You can open it up with the arrow. And we are going to create the first keyframe. And to create a new keyframe, you want to press the stopwatch right there in the horizontal scale. And there it is, that's our new keyframe. So we're gonna click on this number, on this value, and we press 0, and now our rectangular shape disappeared. Now what we wanna do is to go forward with your right key, let's say 10 frames. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're gonna go back to the horizontal scale in the Effect Controls panel, and we're gonna drag the value until we cover the whole frame horizontally this time, like that. So now if you play your animation, you will see that happening. Nice. And that's what we want for now. So for our transition to be effective, we want to cover with the animation the whole frame for at least a few frames. So during these frames, we can actually change the clip without people realizing it, because the cut will be under our graphic animation. Now that we have covered the whole frame, we're gonna go forward another 10 frames. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we are going to create another keyframe as it is. So we just press here on the keyframe to add a new one. We go forward another 10 keyframes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We create a keyframe, but this time we change the value of the horizontal scale to 0, back to 0. So we're going to make our shape disappear again, and you can play it from the beginning and see what happens. Okay, it gets the idea. So it's a very short transition. That's what you need, 1 second, 1 or 2 seconds of transition. As you can see, the graphic on the timeline is very long and the transition is already done. So we can crop the transition just by dragging the clip down. Now we want to reposition the transition correctly on the cut. And to do so, I go here where I've got the whole frame covered. I select the graphic clip on the timeline and I press M to create a marker. I'm going to expand the timeline a tiny bit and I move and drag my graphic animation on the cut with the marker. So it's a very simple way to do so with markers. Bear in mind and remember it. Now if we play the timeline more or less here where we have the transition, working. What we're going to do now is to add another layer, another shape to make it a bit more interesting and engaging. What we want to do is to go back to the clip, select the graphic clip and go back here in the Effect Controls panel. We're going to select the first shape, the aqua rectangle. I'm actually gonna narrow down the menu here. I right click on it and I choose copy. Then I right click on it again and I click paste. And we have another shape now which is identical to the first shape and we're gonna alterate it to make it a bit different. As you can see, one is on top of the other, so I go to the top one, click on the drop down menu. I'm gonna change the fill, so the color first of all, and I'm gonna make it white just to have this nice break between the two, a nice contrast. I click OK and there it is, my new white shape. So when we copied the first shape, we also copied the same keyframes and we're going to change the keyframes once again to give it more motion and a bit more interest. We want to go down to the horizontal scale. Let's go to the very first frame. I need to increase the size of this thing, otherwise I can't see very much. And I'm gonna move with my mouse the first keyframe a bit forward. Let's say, okay, let's do it together. So we go 5 frames later, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm gonna move the first keyframe where my playhead is right now. So if I play the sequence, that's what's happening. I have the blue shape coming in, and after 5 frames, I've got my white shape coming in too. What I'm gonna do is also to move the second keyframe. So just select the second keyframe and go ahead, maybe 3 frames, 1, 2, 3, and move it there. And likewise, I go to the third keyframe, but this time I go to the left for 3 keyframes, 1, 2, 3. And I move this keyframe right there, so the animation is a bit quicker compared to the aqua rectangle. There it is. And then I go to the last keyframe and I move backwards, so to the left, 5 keyframes again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And if you play your transition, that's what you have. So quite cool, very simple, but very effective. If you wanted to, you could create another item identical, change the keyframe, and actually have 3 different doors sliding. So once again, it's up to you. It's good fun. You can try, give it a go. And also you can change the fill, the stroke, you can add shadows, whatever you like. Before we forget, let's change the name of the second shape. We want to right click on it, rename, and we call it white rectangle. There it is, just to make it clear. What if we want to take this transition to the next level and make it even cooler? We can actually give it an angle, and we want to go down here in the effect controls. Let's click on shape number 1. This time is the white rectangle for me. We go down, we scroll down to rotation, and in the rotation value, we press on the key 45, which is the degrees of the angle. We press enter. Haha! Now you can see the rectangular shape has been shifted, rotated to 45 degrees. But we have a problem. The rectangular shape is too short to cover the frame. So what we want to do is to go back to the vertical scale and increase, just drag the amount until you cover the whole frame, like that. Now if you play the transition, you understand what's going on here. It's still not long enough. So we want to increase the vertical size even more until we cover the all corners of the program panel, basically. And we want to do the same with the second shape, so with the aqua shape. I'm going to narrow down the white rectangular shape, go to the aqua rectangular shape, we go to rotation, press 45, and we're going to increase the vertical scale again, so until we cover everything. Now you can play it. But we have another problem. As you can see here, we are not actually covering with the animation the whole frame. So we want to change the keyframes a tiny bit. And to do so, we're going to play with the horizontal scale. So let's work on shape number 2, still the aqua one. We go to horizontal scale, but we want to be exactly on the second keyframe. And right there, we're going to change the horizontal scale. So we're going to increase its size. There it is, until we cover the corners once again. Now we want to copy this amount, 753 in my case, to the third keyframe. So I'm going to select the third keyframe. I'm going to go right there, and I change the value to 753. And there it is. Now we need to change the horizontal scale of the white shape, and we are done. So let's change that right there. We go down to the second keyframe. Make sure you are on spot. We change the value. We just increase it to 734. Same as before, more or less. We go to the third keyframe and we change it once again to 734 or whatever value you have in the previous frame. And that's it. That's your transition, animated transition. You can be creative and create lots of these fun animations. So what I want to show you next, which is the last thing we're gonna cover in this tutorial, is how to save this animation as a preset. So you want to go on graphic, on the graphic clip, on the timeline, select it, and we go to the drop-down menu at the very top, go to graphics, and go to export as motion graphic template. We're gonna click on it. You can name it as you wish. So I called it GFX Graphics Transition in Premiere Pro. Once again, name it as you wish. You can also choose where to save this animation. You can choose a local drive, as a particular folder of your project, whatever, wherever you want. And then you click OK. As you can see, Premiere is elaborating and exporting your graphic. All saved and done. Now, what if you want to use this transition in your next video? Very simple. You want to have the Essential Graphics panel open, but this time you want to go to Browse. Then here you will have a list of all the templates that Premiere is offering you, and also the presets that you have saved. Now, if you remember the name of your preset, my one was including the word graphics, GFX. I press OK, and there it is. That's my transition. Now, if you want to use it, if you actually scroll on the transition here, you have a preview of what's happening. If you want to use it, very simple, you just drag and drop it on your timeline, and that's it. So we play it once more. This is our transition. Lovely. I love old school animation. I hope this tutorial was useful for you guys, for your vlogs, videos, whatever you're working in terms of video making. If you enjoyed it, if you liked it, if you learned something new, then please give me a thumb up. consider to subscribe to the channel for more tutorials, and also you can sign up to my website and mamoair.com for extra tutorial, special prices on my courses and my courses, and also for giveaways. So I hope to see you there. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. God bless you.
Seems all good times come and go your way. Child memories fall under rolling.